Welcome to a brand new series of The Gadget Show. Now, here's a question.
What is
the greatest
gadget of
all time?
Well, during the summer break, Team Gadget set out to compile a countdown
20,
11,
4, 1.
of the greatest gadgets there have ever been.
Took the world by storm.
That amazes me.
ooh,
And it turned out to be one of the trickiest things ever.
What is that?
a game changer.
Wow.
But after weeks of debate, Team Gadget voted in a secret ballot.
This was the best. Gosh, really?
Yes. And now those votes have been counted and ratified, and the list can be revealed.
How exciting.
Hold on to your hats for some surprises as we reveal the greatest gadgets of all time. Hello and welcome to a brand new series of The Gadget Show and a special opening episode in which we count down the greatest gadgets of all time as defined by us.
Yes, so for starters, the gadgets have to be physical objects with some form of electronics to make it onto our list.
And to be considered great, they've had to prove that they are game changers and have impacted our lives for the better.
We've managed to whittle down all the heroic tech out there to just a top 20. So if everyone's happy, let's get on with it.
At number 20, it's the console that changed gaming forever. The Nintendo Wii. Took the world by storm.
In December 2006, Nintendo launched their 7th generation console, the Wii. Priced at just £179, it was an immediate hit and sold 50,000 units by lunchtime on its first day. Across the globe, you couldn't buy a Wii. I mean, they couldn't make enough of them.
10 years ago, when he first clapped eyes on it, our chief gaming geek was beyond excited.
He was really beside himself.
Is that a working thing? Does it really work?
Yeah. Can I have a go?
The president of Nintendo or something had agreed for 1 unit to be sent out for this kooky little show in England called the Gadget Show.
I am gobsmacked.
I was gobsmacked.
Get in! Oh no. Oh man, isn't it amazing?
Whilst the tech world focused on new releases from Xbox and PlayStation with their state-of-the-art graphics and mega processing powers, Nintendo snuck through the back door with real-life movements and gesture recognition, bringing with them a groundbreaking interactive gaming experience.
Families were taking part. Mums, dads, baby sisters. It changed the face of console gaming.
The absolute success of the Wii was down to its physicality.
To be able to combine movement, activity, not just sitting on the sofa playing something with the control in your hand, but actually being up.
It's just different, it's unique, it's bold and it's exciting.
I think the Atari 2600, that brought gaming into the mainstream, but the Wii, it did it on another level.
At number 19, it's, wait for it, the Panasonic NE691 microwave oven.
Not everything can be sexy in this list. What we're trying to do is we're trying to assemble a list of the 20 gadgets that made the most impact on our lives.
Microwaves have and did make a huge difference in the kitchen. You know, instant, quick, hot food when time is limited at the end of the day change people's lives.
Cooks a complete meal for 4 in less than an hour. It makes a cook's life easy. Of course, good help is still hard to find.
This Panasonic was the first proper affordable consumer microwave and represented a giant technological leap. The ability to use radiation to agitate water molecules and thus heat up last night's pizza.
The microwave revolutionized cuisine for those people who lived on their own.
Even NASA thought that the microwave was a technological marvel back in the 70s.
Microwave cooking units, like those in the NASA Lunar Receiving Laboratory and this test kitchen, are indeed revolutionary. for a main course.
The Panasonic NE691 was the best you could get back in the day, and amazingly, there's one left in the UK that actually still works.
It's owned by a distinguished chap in Gloucester who is so fond of it that he wouldn't let us use it for filming because he uses it every day. That amazes me.
It's 2004 and a young John Bentley is sitting in a Nissan X-Trail testing the car's inbuilt sat-nav system against the new kid on the block, number 18 in our countdown, the TomTom Go.
It's massive, isn't it?
Starters, it's so heavy. It's like this lumpy, curved brick. And I mean, how that even managed to stay onto our dashboards without falling off, I do not know.
When Dutch consumer electronics firm TomTom launched the Go, it flew off the shelves and stuck to windscreens worldwide. By the end of that year, the Go accounted for 60% of TomTom's entire revenue.
After 400 yards, turn left.
From the get-go, this was the best platform. I know, but I mean, it just shows the motorway junction so nicely on the screen, doesn't it? You know, you could I mean...
It actually got us to the right place, quicker and more directly than the Nissan system.
You have reached your destination.
There's been a shed load of TomTom competitors over the years, and we've tested most of them. But the TomTom's slick menu functions and nicely laid out screen meant that it always came out on top.
To begin with, I remember that it was this one lady, standard voice.
Go right on the roundabout, 4th exit.
And then obviously they developed and you could have different options, you could download different voices.
Please take the 3rd exit on the roundabout.
It's roundabout.
Correct. Roundabout.
But wouldn't it be great? The one voice I would love to have is Mr. John Bentley.
In 300 yards, you will have reached your destination. Splendid. Have a great time. Cheerio.
In 2007, Amazon launched the Kindle, an electronic book reader. Its launch was an unprecedented success, selling out in just 5.5 hours of going on sale. And it's at number 17 in our countdown of the top 20 greatest gadgets of all time.
These were definitely a game changer when it came to travelling and reading.
Since its launch, nearly 75 million have been sold worldwide, and it's easy to see the appeal. They can store thousands of books, are portable and lightweight, and have an excellent eye-friendly reading screen. Plus, you can buy books cheaply and start reading instantly.
Apparently Amazon chose the name Kindle because obviously Kindle is something you light a fire with, so they thought they were lighting the fires of intellectual inspiration by making books so available and so convenient to carry around.
I've noticed that Mr. John Bentley has always ended up doing all the reviews on the e-readers and seems to always go somewhere very exotic.
Yes, well, you see, I needed to test if you could still read the screens in bright sunshine. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
John, come on, next time I think it's my turn.
At number 16, possibly one of the greatest ever gadget game changers. I am, of course, talking about the BlackBerry.
This device belongs in any list of great gadgets because it revolutionised mobile phones.
My BlackBerry was literally my life.
Back in the mid-noughties, it seemed like everyone had a BlackBerry. We loved the secure push email and looked upon it as a sort of mobile office. Even POTUS was a fan of this iconic gadget. Plus, there was BlackBerry Messenger, the original mobile instant messaging service that opened up the BlackBerry market to a new generation of users.
These first got that nickname of the Crackberry because that's when I think people's addictions to their phones really started, being obsessed with checking your emails all the time.
With the BlackBerry, it was all smooth, the emails arrived instantly, and if you live your life by email, it was clearly a massive boon.
I'll hit you with some stats. In 2009, BlackBerry had 20% of the worldwide smartphone market. By 2011, they reckoned they'd shifted 150 million units. This company was once valued at $47.8 billion.
Fast forward to 2016, and BlackBerry now has just 0.2% of the smartphone market. Its demise can be summed up in just 2 words: the iPhone, a product which, fatally, it didn't take seriously as a competitor.
We are in a disruptive age. You know, disrupt or die, innovate or forget it. And these guys, for some reason, just failed to innovate towards the final part of their business, and they just vanished.
Nevertheless, we still love the BlackBerry. It totally changed mobile communications forever, and for that reason, it'll always be close to our hearts.
Right, that's 5 down and 15 to go. Come back after the break as we continue our countdown of the 20 greatest gadgets there ever did be.
It's a massive revolution, and everyone could do it.
Welcome back to a very special gadget show where we're revealing our 20 greatest gadgets of all time.
At number 15, it's a gadget we all love, as John explained way back in his first ever review in 2004.
The nation's favourite gadget is without a doubt this: the television.
But we're not putting any old TV in our list. This is the snappily titled 42-inch Panasonic TH42PD 25U plasma TV that featured in that very first Gadget Show episode.
It was an actual flat-screen TV. It was like something out of the Matrix, something from the future.
I mean, the plasma TV was something that became the sort of icon of luxury gadget living for the early part of the 21st century.
There's something exotic about plasma as well. Nobody really knows what it is.
Well, John does. Back in 2004, John committed this gadget vandalism to show how this new type of telly worked.
In this layer here are millions and millions of tiny little gas-filled light bulbs, red, green and blue. And they're turned on and off very quickly by a computer hidden somewhere in the back there. That's what makes up the picture.
It was one with a slight fault on it, apparently, which gives the game away slightly. But anyway, so it wasn't pure gratuitous chopping up for the sake of it.
It was an entirely new way of showing TV pictures. Up until this point, the picture of most plasma TV sets wasn't actually as good as big old-fashioned cathode ray tubes. The Panasonic, however, was elegant and had a decent picture. This particular model marked that turning point from big fat tellies to slim, thin TVs.
And there was another advantage of the super slim plasmas.
As soon as that flat screen came in, oh my word, you could change the furniture in your room.
Yes, the Panasonic helped us regain control of our living space, freeing up that corner where your big-booted CRT television used to be. Come take a look round the back. So what do you think, John?
The latest plasmas are now really rather good, and if you're able to spend $3 or $4 grand, you're unlikely to be disappointed.
Sage advice as ever, Mr. Bentley. Don't you think he actually looks younger now? Anyway, at number 14, an even more revolutionary piece of moving picture tech.
I mean, you know, this harks back to a time of industrial design that I would like to return to.
It's the JVC GRC1 camcorder.
This thoroughly deserves its place in the countdown because there was an explosion in people having these because it was relatively affordable tech. It did revolutionise the home movie-making business.
This must have felt like something from a science fiction movie when it first came out.
Well, yeah, it was. The GRC1 was the camcorder Marty McFly famously used in Back to the Future. a film that I desperately tried to remake on the Gadget Show in 2010.
It's like meeting a famous person.
The real beauty of the JVC is that it made us all into movie makers. And your Uncle John could turn a birthday party into a cinematic masterpiece.
Happy birthday to you, girl. Happy birthday to you. That's just wrong. Happy birthday, little sister of mine.
Yes, could you? I'm just getting. Could you just sing a little bit at the end again? Because I'm going to zoom out a bit and so I can get it on wide.
Okay, so the quality from our 30-year-old model might look and sound ropey, but at the time its picture was good enough for even seasoned TV professionals.
The fact that you had the ability to record and review on one device can't be overstated.
Amy, we've got your birthday
Oh,
present.
yes, open your present.
That's so sweet of you, thank you. I mean, what is it?
It's too small to be any good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit cheap
Tiny,
looking.
a bit.
It's like something out of a cracker.
No, it's not out of a cracker. This is our very contrived way of introducing the next in our list. Because just 22 years after the JVC came out, GoPro gave us this even greater movie-making gadget. The hero is at number 13.
Someone says GoPro to me, I think of the insane sort of medieval torture that we have visited on those devices over many years of the Gadget Show.
Yes, of all the gadgets in our top 20, it's this compact action camera that has most changed our show. We could not imagine life without one of these little things. We do so much of our footage, all our crazy action stuff. We just couldn't film it unless we had one of these.
You can just record everything. It's just in superb quality. It's a massive revolution, and everyone can do it.
And what's even more brilliant is how quickly these incredible devices have turned from zero to hero. In 2005, GoPro founder Nicholas Woodman was flogging an early version of his gadget, which used 35mm film, on a shopping channel.
How did you come to invent something like this?
Well, I was always frustrated that I couldn't easily take photographs of my friends and family during our favorite sports and activities.
Right.
And so I figured there must be an easy way to carry and use a camera, so I came up with the Hero camera design.
That's amazing.
So GoPro turned over $1.6 billion last year from trying to flog units on QVC. That's a success story. There's no way anyone could deny their place in our top 20.
So, what could possibly rate higher than the zip lining, water rafting, bungee jumping GoPro?
For high school students, the TI-30 helps them understand how math can build the beginning of a dream. Texas Instruments, innovators in personal electronics.
Yes, our number 12 is the Texas Instruments TI-30 calculator, released in 1976. This helped maths dunces like us do maths.
Let me put it this way, right? Okay, so you had the abacus from 3000 BC or whatever. Then you had this. That's how important this is.
The TI-30, which got its name from the fact that it cost $30, was the first affordable way of performing calculations electronically. Before calculators, maths had to be done mechanically, with levers and cogs and wheels and things like that. The time and effort it saved is almost inconceivable. It had other benefits too.
No one had a clue what, inks or sin or inv or tan actually did. But everyone knew that if you typed in 5318008 and turned it upside down, you got boobies. Would you like a close-up of my boobies?
Right, enough fooling around. Time for number 11.
Na 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 na.
Dun, 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 dun.
Da 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 ba ba.
Something like that, wasn't it?
Okay, now that is enough fooling around. Number 11 is the Game Boy, released in 1989.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. But now you can have all the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy.
Hey?
From the moment I walked into an arcade, circa 1979, I wanted a mobile gaming experience. And really, it didn't arrive properly until the Nintendo Game Boy.
It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable.
This was a big deal.
You could carry these around in your bag and slot it in, and straight away, there you were. You'd changed what you were playing.
This turned the Game Boy into a cultural phenomenon. With 400 million game cartridges sold across the world, everybody was playing. Play them on a bus, play them in the park, play them when you should be paying attention in class.
I had a Game Boy Color, briefly, and I got very addicted to a driving game before deciding that I had something else to do. Ooh,
Plus, Game Boy comes with the outrageous new game, Tetris.
And let me tell you something, in the 80s, our pockets were a lot bigger, you know, because we were wearing, like, oversized clothes and whatnot. You can use this with your drainpipe trousers now.
Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
The Game Boy transformed gaming forever. But we reckon our number 10 had an even greater effect on our lives.
This is the Canon EOS 300D, a digital SLR camera from 2003. It's earned its place in our top 20 because more than any other camera, it helped bring about the dawn of affordable, high-quality digital photography. Part of the appeal was its low price, around £700. At one point, it was the cheapest digital SLR in existence. It meant for the first time, enthusiastic photographers could have all the convenience of digital with the picture quality that matched their cherished film cameras. It was a real game changer.
Beautifully put, Johnny boy. Now we're inside our top 10 and onto the newest gadget we've featured so far.
I feel as though I've been waiting most of my life for virtual reality to come about. I just long for the day when you can transport yourself into an entirely different world without all the bother of airports and having to go there. Absolutely fantastic. It can't come quickly enough.
My thirst for VR has been relatively unquenched since certainly the early 80s, I would say.
It has taken decades for it to get to a point where you can genuinely be excited about it and it has real application. Yes, at number 9, it's Oculus Rift. And boy, was it worth the wait. It began as a Kickstarter project in 2012, promising to be the first truly immersive virtual reality headset for video games. They set out to raise $250,000, but eventually received 10 times that amount. 2 years later, they were bought by Facebook for $2 billion.
I'm looking around in my cockpit. I'm sat here, you know, in three-dimensional space. I feel the vertigo as I move to the right and to the left and I look over the side. So I feel connected in a physical way to the gaming experience in a way that I've never been before.
And it's this quality of the whole experience that sets the Oculus Rift apart from previous virtual reality systems.
Wow! Woo! Woo! The motion tracking isn't laggy, the graphics are smooth enough to be believable, and the headset isn't bulky and distracting. Even now, it's really playable, it's super futuristic, and I just feel blessed to be experiencing it.
The technology isn't limited to gaming, though. It could be used almost anywhere. I mean, imagine if you could sit in a school history lesson with kids with VR headsets on, going back in time and walking the streets of the Tudor period, or sitting at a banquet in medieval times. I would go back to school for that.
Major corporations the world over, and I'm talking thousands, probably tens of thousands of companies, are now evolving our virtual reality and augmented reality future based on the success of this venture. It's incredible. And that's why we've placed Oculus Rift so highly on our list, because we've barely scratched the surface of how this new gadget will affect our lives.
Right, that's all for part 2. But join us on the other side to travel deeper into our top 10 and find gadgets that are so great they can be described in just one word.
Unlive-withoutable.
Or sometimes 5.
This is just the nuts.
Welcome back to our epic countdown of the top 20 greatest gadgets of all time. We've covered everything from calculators to GoPros, and now it's time to press on and take a look at what's sitting at number 8.
This next gadget banished VHS tapes to the back of cupboards forever. No more fiddling with that pesky recorder to set the time for your favourite show. Oh no, Sky Plus had arrived, and it was that good it can be described in just one word.
Unlive-withoutable.
With a new Sky Plus box, you control the TV schedule. It's like having your own TV channel.
It's so intuitive. Pause, rewind, record. Well, that looked good. Series link.
Yes, in 2001, Sky Plus changed everything. It was the first UK TV service to offer the viewer an interactive relationship with programmes being aired. You could pause and rewind live television. You could record one programme while viewing another. You could watch what you wanted, when you wanted.
We don't say, I'm going to record it. We say, I'm going to Sky Plus it. It was an invaluable addition to the home. Along with the advent of colour television, it surely rates as the biggest advancement in TV technology.
It's really easy.
Right, we're up to number 7. Rewind to 2010, and John really wants to talk to you about something.
I want to talk to you about this, Apple's new iPad.
This is just the nuts.
In 2010, Steve Jobs, the legendary boss of all things Apple, announced that his crack team of tech experts had created something extraordinary.
Is it a tablet PC? Is it a netbook? Is it an e-reader? Is it a portable media device? Is it all of these things? Or is it a totally new category of device?
Oh, it's just an overinflated iPhone that can't make phone calls.
And yes, it is that.
And so much more.
Yes, it's fair to say that the iPad opened up the internet to everyone. It reinvented home shopping, launched 1 billion YouTubers, and made portable computing even more, well, portable.
Of course I could cope without it. Of course I could. I don't want to.
Can't get rid of it, can I? The love of my life. But before tablets, there were laptops, and in at number 6 is the daddy of them all. How cool would you have felt sat on a train with one of these back in the day?
It's the early 90s, and the computer boffins at IBM are engineering up a storm. And that storm's name was the ThinkPad.
Really good piece of utilitarian computer kit.
This machine single-handedly turned computing into something genuinely more portable.
Previously, obviously, I'd only had desktop computers. You had to be connected to the mains and sitting at a desk to use them. But now, on my train trips down to London, I could reply to emails and write letters and scripts and stuff, program proposals, all sorts of things on my laptop.
The very first ThinkPad models were leagues ahead of their competitors in terms of usability, portability and performance.
And the other thing that I remember as an early owner of one of these devices is this thing, the rubber track point, as it's called. It was a really effective, and at that point, the best way I'd ever come across of using very early versions of Windows.
This was actually inspired by the Japanese bento box, which is like a lunch box, where everything's neatly packaged, all got a certain place.
It's a gadget so tough, useful and reliable that NASA have used them in their space stations since 1995.
They were the first range of laptops to bring us fingerprint technology, wireless, CDs, even DVDs. For that reason, we think the IBM ThinkPad is the 6th best gadget of all time.
Parked at number 5, it's the most techie set of wheels in the world.
Okay, folks, say hello to an icon of innovation, which you'll probably recognise as I summon it using an app. This is the Tesla Model S. Come on, that is just spectacular.
How do you stop it?
Hang on, stop. Get in!
Yes.
No, actually get in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Oh! It doesn't get much better than that. It's a fully electric 5-door luxury car that'll give you a range of 300 miles on a full charge and the sort of performance you'd expect from a supercar. I think it's in the list, not just because of one or two quirky features like its performance or the fact that it's electric. It's a combination of features that almost at every level make it unique.
This tech-packed ride features, amongst other things, autopilot, which will automatically manage your speed, keep you within a lane, or even change lane for you when you indicate. And still, the tech innovations just keep on coming.
Another thing I think is great about the Tesla is how the electronics all update themselves. Whereas in most cars, you buy, that's what you get on day one, you're stuck with. Whereas here, it's always updating.
The updates that come through could be as trivial as a bug fix, or as extraordinary as more performance from the engines, and that's unprecedented.
The man behind Tesla is billionaire genius Elon Musk, a real-life Tony Stark. In creating the Model S, he's managed to make a desirable electric car that everybody wants.
I mean, at the moment it's very expensive technology, isn't it? But I mean, it may trickle down. We're already getting the Model 3, which is cheaper, and hopefully, eventually, it'll be more affordable for average car buyers as well.
Well, I mean, all tech goes that way, doesn't it? One would assume that something as needed as this would.
Yeah, and it is needed.
Yeah.
I mean, to know that this is where it's going, and they're all running to keep up. But this is where we're headed. We're driving a chunk of the future, aren't we?
Right, here's number 4. And also a warning, this segment does include old footage of Jason dancing in his favourite lycra.
Wow.
In 1979, the Sony Walkman became the original, and to our mind, the best personal music player ever.
This revolutionised how I interacted with music.
Before this came along, really, you were stuck at home listening to the music that your parents wanted to listen to.
You are witnessing the ultimate miniaturization of the cassette player. Never has so much genius been coaxed into so little space.
I'm sure we've all got one somewhere in that box of electrical stuff that you don't want to throw away.
It was invented almost by accident. A bigwig at Sony asked a colleague to knock him together a quality cassette player so he could listen to his favourite classical music on the plane in full glorious stereo. Sony's chairman heard of its creation and gave it a try. Blown away, he set his team to work, and just 4 months later, the Walkman was born.
Initially, sales of the device were on the small side. In fact, they only sold 3,000 sets in the first month.
But then Sony hatched a plan. They gave one to each of their employees and sent them out onto the streets of Tokyo to get people interested.
Freebies were given to super cool pop stars and Cliff Richard in a bid to make the device hip and groovy.
It was working. People were impressed by the high-quality sound, and it soon became a global success.
It created something of a viral hit. So I think that's a lesson from the Walkman, as if first your technology doesn't succeed, create a bit of noise with it, and it might.
By the turn of the century, they had sold over 150 million devices worldwide.
It is a lovely piece of work.
It was such a phenomenon that the word Walkman was even added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
It's just a beautiful thing. I'd like to rock up in my rollerblades with this playing now, actually.
Right, now it's time to give away some tech, and this is the biggest prize fund ever in the history of the Gadget Show.
Shall I tell them?
Go on.
Yeah, it's worth a whopping £48,600. Are you with us? Yeah? All right, let's do this thing. You could win an iPhone 7, an Apple Watch, a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, a Fitbit Blaze, and a GoPro Hero 4 with remote and memory card.
A Canon EOS 80D DSLR camera with lens, a Nikon rugged camera plus SD cards for them both, an Epson photo printer, the new HTC Vive virtual reality kit, a PS4, an Xbox One with Kinect, and a Nintendo 3DS XL, and games for all the consoles. Plus an Alienware Area 51 gaming PC with 28-inch 4K monitor, gaming keyboard and multimedia speaker system.
A Smeg fridge freezer, a smart kettle, a DeLonghi Nespresso coffee machine, a NutriBullet juicer and food mixer, a Dyson cordless vacuum, and a wireless smart thermostat with installation.
A giant mountain bike, a giant road bike, a folding bike, a Garmin bike computer, bike lights and helmet, an indoor bike trainer, plus a Nordic Track treadmill with an iFit membership.
A Sonos surround sound system with soundbar speakers and a sub, a Roberts DAB radio with Spotify Connect and a 12-month Spotify premium subscription, a set of mini-rig Bluetooth speakers, a pair of Bose noise-cancelling headphones and a pair of Sennheiser wireless headphones.
A Microsoft Surface Book, an Apple MacBook Air, an Apple iPad Pro, an Apple Pencil and Keyboard, and 250 quid's worth of iTunes vouchers.
A top-of-the-range toolkit, a rugged DAB radio, a barbecue with Essential Barbecue Toolkit, and a Husqvarna lawnmower.
Panasonic 50 and 40-inch 4K smart TVs with a wireless keyboard and a Dolby Atmos surround sound system, Freeview Play and Now TV boxes, an Amazon Fire TV with 4K Ultra HD and a gift code for Amazon Prime membership, an Epson home cinema projector, a 3D printer, and 1 month self-storage to put all your prizes in.
Finally, as an extra special sweetener, we're giving away a brand new car. Yep, that's right, a brand new Smart 4 2 crammed full of tech, including EE's in-car Wi-Fi, could be yours too.
It's an immense prize fund stuffed to the rafters with gadgety goodness, all worth a staggering £48,600.
To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is text Gadget to 85555 or call 0902 0555 255. Or post your name and contact phone number to The Gadget Show 2401. P.O. Box 7557, Derby, DE10NP.
Texts cost £2 plus one message at standard network rate. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Lines close at midday on the date shown on screen and 3 working days later for postal entries. For rules, go to channel5.com/win and we'll repeat this information again at the end of the show.
Okay, time for the last break in the show. But don't go anywhere, because we've literally saved the best till last.
Absolutely fantastic.
And I mean literally.
Change the game.
Welcome back to a very special gadget show, where we're counting down the 20 greatest gadgets of all time.
20.
11.
4.
Our list of life-changing tech has celebrated tech from all walks of life, from the very first microwave to Oculus Rift.
It's incredible. And now we've reached the magic number. Game on.
Our number 3 is, in our opinion, the single most influential computer ever. And you've probably never even heard of it. The IBM 5150.
home computing, just think about that for a minute. I mean, we all take that for granted now, but this was the device that took it out of the lab.
Not long before the IBM's release in 1981, computers were the size of bank vaults, took teams of people to run, and could cost millions. But the 5150 cost just £1,000, could sit on a desk, and was simple and flexible enough to do almost anything you wanted. Even Charlie Chaplin used one.
With this tool for modern times, a person can quickly master such jobs as accounting or word processing. Even use the IBM personal computer to forecast growth.
The key to the IBM success was a then new operating system called MS-DOS, designed by Microsoft.
It was the start of the consumer-orientated operating system. I'm not going to pretend that meant that it was easy, because it wasn't. It was still code as opposed to the visual. You type in simple text commands and the computer would respond. From opening a text document to playing a new generation of home computer games. This is Zork, an example of a really early type of computer game, an adventure game based on text. And even now, as I sit here, it's actually quite involving. The aim is to find treasure in the great underground empire. This is a path winding through a dimly lit forest, which you explore by typing instructions for your character. Break the grate. This is so good. This is the burgeoning beginnings of the computer game revolution that would follow.
Even the philosophy behind building the computer was radical.
Previously, a handful of personal home computers had been made almost bespoke by the brand that sold it to you.
That particular model started the idea that you got all your components from different manufacturers, the motherboard, the floppy disk drive, or whatever it was at the time.
PCs are still made that way today. There's still that, you know, Dr. Frankenstein type attitude towards it.
Not only did this business model stick, but the whole home computing revolution continued.
The PC was cheap, affordable, and flexible, and that was a lot of the reason for its success, I think. A graphical interface was added to MS-DOS to create the Windows operating system, and it's clear how almost all home computers can be traced back to the 5150.
The IBM personal computer. Not only can it help you plan ahead, it'll balance your books and give you more time to make dough.
Okay, it's crunch time. Think you know what we'll have at number 1? Yeah? Well, if you think it's the iPhone, you're wrong. It's at 2.
When I first saw the first iPhone, I was like, what is that?
It's quite small, isn't it?
No wonder we were all so excited. It's tiny.
The iPhone seemed revolutionary right from the start.
Indeed it was, but way back when it launched in 2007, even us Gadget Show presenters didn't predict how significant it would become. Did we, Susie?
Well, the iPhone may look pretty and be able to do some pretty neat party tricks. Can it possibly be as capable as this? Nokia's extraordinary N95, the most feature-rich phone ever made.
The answer was, of course, yes, because the iPhone evolved at breakneck speed. First, it got fast 3G connectivity in 2008.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new 3G iPhone. Look at that.
And while it may not have been first to market with features like fingerprint recognition, dual cameras and HD displays, there's no doubt that the iPhone is the single most influential smartphone ever.
This smartphone killed keys.
A gift that the iPhone gave us was the whole swiping. And we all thought it was really weird when we first started.
But what really rams home the brilliance of the iPhone is how it actually does the job of almost every other gadget in our list. It's a television, a gaming device, a camcorder, a computer, a Walkman, a camera, a calculator, a TomTom, a Kindle. And it all works so simply.
I totally appreciate why it was so brilliant, and it was also amazing to watch other manufacturers just fail to match it again and again and again.
This smartphone changed the game.
So it's time for the big reveal.
Our choice of the greatest gadget of all time.
A device more important than the TV, Walkman and iPhone.
A true titan of tech. The Motorola Dynatac 8000, aka the Brick, is the grandfather of all mobile phones, and what we think is the greatest gadget ever. This genuinely does need to be top of the list, but I can remember what life was like before it.
God, it's incredible.
Whew, you were kind of an important person if you were walking down the street in New York and you had this.
There would be no iPhone. There would be no portable phone calling device without this. This came first.
This is royalty.
For the first time, it allowed people to communicate with each other no matter where they were. It simply made our lives better.
I can remember when I was at university, endless time wasted going around to people's rooms, knocking on the doors, leaving messages that eventually you might get a reply to a couple of days later. What a waste of time.
At the time when this was launched, it was revolutionary. And all that's happened is that simple premise, being connected while on the move, has just been refined and improved upon.
There was such an insatiable appetite for this radical new gadget that there was a 6-month waiting list, and that's despite an eye-watering price and specs that seem rubbish by today's standards.
Cost $4,000. It took 10 hours to charge, and you got 1 hour talk time for that. And I don't even imagine how much the phone company were charging you for those calls.
Plus, you'd have to have a really big handbag to carry it around in.
But it's important to put the price and those specs in perspective.
Motorola spent hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D developing this in the late 60s and early 70s. That's probably trillions by today's money.
Well, almost. Motorola actually spent the equivalent of $500 million developing the Brick. That's double what Apple spent creating the first iPhone.
I'd say it was, even then, money definitely very well spent.
Thank you very much, Motorola. You gave birth to, in our estimation, the most significant consumer technology invention ever.
You know what's really strange about the Motorola 8000 being the top of our list of greatest gadgets of all time? Is if you hold it like that, it actually looks like the number one. Yeah?
This beige box has beaten some truly brilliant gadgets, and what clinched it was simply how revolutionary it was. The Brick was a lifesaver and a world changer, and until somebody really nails time travel, we can't see anything beating it.
Right, you lot can keep arguing about what we've missed from the list, but don't miss next week's show with rally cars.
Superb jump there.
Coffee wars.
Yeah? Yeah? Yes.
And Candy Crush.
And if you want to watch the show again or catch up on any others, then check out our on-demand service, My5.
But before you go, don't miss your chance to get your hands on the biggest ever gadget giveaway worth an eye-watering £48,600, including a brand new Smart 4T.
To enter, all you have to do is text Gadget to 85555 or call 0902 0555 255 or post your name and contact phone number to The Gadget Show 2401, PO Box 7557, Derby, DE1 0NP.
Texts cost £2 plus one message at standard network rate. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Lines close at midday on the dates shown on screen, and 3 working working days later for postal entries. For rules, go to channel5.com/win. Laters, and good luck.
Buckle up for all the fast-paced, high-action, full-throttle racing from the Formula E Championship with a preview of the season tomorrow morning at 11. Before we cross over to Hong Kong for all the action Sunday morning at 8:30, exclusively live on Channel 5. Next up, the cars that made Britain great.